Hey people on YouTube land, Zach Hallback here, and I want to do a follow-up review on a Bible I reviewed I guess it's been maybe a few months ago now, the KJV Sovereign from Thomas Nelson. In my opinion, this is become my favorite hand-sized Bible. The dimensions on this thing are just absolutely amazing. So just to give you the dimensions real quick, it is 8 3/4 about, okay, 8 3/4, so almost 9, but just shorter than that, by 5 3/4 wide, by 1.5 inches thick. So I've nicknamed this thing, as I've owned it, the brick. Because not only is it built like a brick, where it's short and stubby, and I personally love that feel, but you can see how thick it is. I love the feel of this in my hand though. I can hold it really easily. It feels important. It's got a good weight to it. It's not heavy, but it's got a good weight to it. And it's easy to carry in one hand, carry to church, carry in the pulpit. And so I've nicknamed this one the brick, not only because it looks like one, but it holds up tenaciously well. So you think like a brick or a brick home, how it holds up over time. And this thing is just absolutely amazing. So I want to dive in a little bit deeper on why I like this Bible, and really just recommend this to you. I mean, if you're somebody who wants a portable, very easy to read, for example, my wife's grandma looked at this Bible and she's almost in her early 80s and had no problem reading the font in this Bible, and it's a hand-sized Bible. They absolutely knocked out of the park with the readability. I have enjoyed preaching from this, reading from this, studying from it, and it's just an awesome Bible. So I wanted to go a little bit more in depth and show you the features of why I really like this. Now, the genuine leather cover here, this thing is absolutely amazing. It is, you can hear here, it's tough and doesn't scratch. You can see that. Got my nails on there. Doesn't scratch, but yet, look at this right here. Look how supple it is at the same time. It absolutely feels amazing. Now, to be sure, it is a tough leather, but it is surprisingly supple and easy to bend and manipulate in the hand. And it is a beautiful Bible to have bound in this. I love this genuine leather. And this Bible, guys, runs for $64.99 on Christian Book distributors. I don't have any affiliate links for that, so I don't get any money for doing this review or anything. This is just an honest review that I love this Bible and I want to share it with you. But I will leave a link to Christian Book because it is the cheapest place to get it. You save about $30 on it if you get it through them. So I just think it's the best price for you. But yeah, so $64.99, essentially $65 from them. And just check out the spine too. So I talked about this in my other review, but this just looks like something that is sovereign. Very classy, it feels tradition based, which is just right for the King James. It is the standard of the English translations. It's perfect. It's the best. And so you can just see their spine. Well done. Raised hubs here. Show you a picture of that as well. Okay, well done. Love the Holy Bible on the front. I am a fan of that. A lot of people don't like that. I can go either way, but I like how Nelson does it. It is good. If I could say anything, and I don't know, maybe they're trying to avoid to be like Cambridge or something, or sometimes the placement of where this is, I would like to see it slightly higher than it is right now. It feels like it's too close to the center of the Bible, and I'm not a fan of that, but this, for me, is okay. This is perfect. I wouldn't lower this anymore. If anything, I would raise it just a little bit. But this does look really elegant. Very well done. It does come with 2 double-sided satin ribbons that are black and gold. It is sewn. And so I wanted to show you guys here the inside cover as well. It does have perimeter stitching all the way around the cover. So very nice. And actually on this Bible, I believe this does serve a purpose. It's not just aesthetic, and I'll show you what I mean. We open up the cover here, you can see this nice thick vinyl end sheet here that's very flexible. Now, one of the reasons why Thomas Nelson's covers are so flexible is because they actually don't put a board in between the liner and the leather. They just attach it right to the leather, which, as far as I have seen with Nelson's, does not affect the durability of the Bible at all. So it makes it more flexible, yet it still holds it very well. Now, going back to that stitching, though, so if you can see here, I think what they did, actually, is have this end sheet run all the way to the end of this leather, and they folded the leather back on it and then stitched it. So it seems like it does serve at least some functional purpose in this Bible. So I wanted to show you guys that too, because I think that's just a notch of quality that a lot of people wouldn't think of in a paste-off liner. It is edge-lined. We're going to go over this a little bit. It's my sermon, so we'll talk about, I just preach from this Bible. This Bible is amazing to preach if you're a preacher. You want an easy to carry but large font Bible. Stop this video now and go buy one, because this is your Bible. It is amazing. So this is edge-lined here with the liner. So look into this here. You'll see these two pages are glued together to add strength. So the idea is that the stress goes out here. Now, with the vinyl liner, I don't know how much of that's taken off, but it does seem right now that it is holding up very well. There are no presentation pages in this Bible, so you just have that glossy paper there, and then you have a title page. You'll have another title page here. And this Bible is red letter edition. There's your table of contents. And then you're going to have the epistle dedicatory to King James as well. And again, your Old Testament title page. And here we go. Okay, so you can see this beautiful font. And this Bible does lay flat. Now this page here, the hinge is a little bit tough. But this lays flat. If you wanted to preach out of Genesis, you could. And actually, real quick, I'm going to grab a Bible. Try to keep you focused on that. The McLaren series here. So this is just to compare how big the font is and the Bibles to each other, okay? So the Sovereign is shorter and slightly less wide, and it is definitely a little bit thicker. But I wanted to show you the difference here, because the McLaren technically is their large print Bible. And it is a beautiful Bible. Don't get me wrong, the McLaren is probably my second favorite KJV Nelson, the first being the Sovereign that we have. So you can see the difference there in the footprint, okay? So the McLaren series is slightly bigger on both accounts, so it is thinner. But when we open up the font comparison here, well, the Psalms probably, that won't be a fair comparison there. Okay. So let me even throw this page over the top. Okay. So now, keep in mind, this is their large print. I mean, this is what a lot of people buy if they have trouble seeing. But you can see how close the size of the font is in a hand-sized Bible. This is at least an inch shorter and at least almost an inch less wide as well. So this is probably somewhere in the ballpark of 9 1/4, maybe, yeah, about 9 1/4 inches probably tall, and by probably 6 1/4, 6 1/2. So you can tell for that size difference, the verse numbers actually in the Sovereign are bigger than the McLaren. I would say the McLaren's verse numbers are set off better, so they have more white space, which means that they are slightly easier to, I guess, see. But then the verse numbers here are bigger, so it's kind of like a trade-off for me. They're both easy to see, and these are in red, which help. The verse numbers are in blue. Another thing is, just look at this. So the spacing, no doubt, is slightly better. Well, I mean, we can just say it's better in the McLaren. Okay, so the spacing between the lines and the letters. But the Sovereign really isn't that bad. It has good line spacing. It's easy to underline. It has a lot of white space in the text, a good margin on the outside to keep the text focused. And it has enough margin on the inside to keep it bending from the gutter. Now, keep in mind, I have this sitting up on the McLaren, so it's kind of going to bend in a little bit more than it would. But it's got beautiful in-text headings, all red. It's got ornamental drop caps, which are absolutely beautiful. It's got running page headers, your page number, the book you're in with the chapter and the verse it starts and ends on. Okay, you're going to have a suite of references down here. See if I can get this to focus again. Okay. So you got a ton of references in the bottom. But I just love this comfort print. So I'm just going to give you guys a chance to look at that. And just think about what an amazing, I mean, really package they put together here with the Sovereign Bible. And the paper, guys, the paper on the Sovereign, there's a reason why it's thick. And it's not because the print is so big necessarily. I mean, that will definitely make it thicker. But the thickness of this paper, it just doesn't do justice. Like, I wish I had a thinner Bible paper up here for you to be able to hear the difference when you shake them, but For example, I would say that the paper thickness is the exact same from the McLaren to the Sovereign. So you can just... It's a thick piece of paper. And you can see that limits the ghosting. I mean, there is essentially almost no ghosting in this Bible. If I pull this back a little bit, there you go. You can see barely any ghosting on that page. Absolutely a joy to read and study from. And then you get to the beautiful Psalms and Proverbs. Both Psalms and Proverbs are in single column. So you can see that. Whereas in the McLaren, everything's going to be double column, which isn't bad. That's really more of just a preference thing. But let me show the poetry just for sake of comparison. Okay, so you have double column in the McLaren, single column in the Sovereign. And again, that goes into Proverbs as well. So we'll flip here to Proverbs. There's chapter 13, so you can see that. So, and there's a lot more space here to take notes in the Sovereign right there, and the Psalms and the Proverbs. Okay. Another difference is the McLaren is not red letter. So if that's something that bothers you, then maybe you would lean more towards the McLaren. But if you want to have red letter in your Bible, then the Sovereign is definitely going to be the edition that you want to go with. And so we'll show you that red. And Nelson really does just have the best red letter of any publisher right now, I think. Just a beautiful deep shade of red, and I'll try to get you in closer. So you can see that black compared to that red. And they have different colors reds, yet different color reds on the same page, but yet they don't contrast with each other. They go very well to keep the appealing. The eye is very appeased when it looks at the page. That's what I'm trying to say. And so it's a very beautiful and clean layout. And just the text, guys, I mean, it's just so crisp and clear. And so even though this is literally a hand-sized Bible, like my hand literally takes up almost the whole page, yet this is almost like it reads like a 10-point font, honestly. I can't remember exactly right now what they said the font was. I was looking for the box, but I couldn't find it. But I think the McLaren is an 11 or 12, if I've got that right. Actually, you know what? It probably says at the front. Let's just check this out. Let me see here. Okay, actually it doesn't say on the title page. So I'm going to guess that when they advertise this, they probably said either an 8.5 or 9-point font, and I'm going to be honest with you, this definitely reads like a 10. It is very big, very easy on the eye. Just a joy to use. So yeah, then let's go back here to Hebrews, because that's where I was preaching from this past Sunday. Okay, Hebrews chapter 4. And so you can see even in Hebrews towards the end of the Bible, it is still laying open flat. And so it is very nice. And so you can see I literally, here's my sermon notes. Close the Bible. Look at that. The Bible is essentially as wide as folding a piece of 8.5 or 8 by 11 sheet of paper into your Bible. And so I can easily carry it in the text where I'm preaching from. Open my Bible. Bam, my sermon notes are there. Open them up, and we're preaching. Okay. So, awesome Bible just to have right next there to your notes. And because it's so easy to read, yet it doesn't take up a lot of pulpit space. So if you're a preacher and pulpit space is valuable, and let's be honest, if you're a preacher with a pulpit space is valuable. There's not a lot of things you want up there. You don't want a lot of clutter in the area you're preaching in. And so you want a clean text, you want a Bible that's easy to handle, and yet if you're a guy that takes notes by hand, I still am. I'm not against typing, I'm not against computers, I'm actually very good at typing. I just personally think there's something about writing your sermon out that helps me memorize it better, and I know where everything is on the page, and so that's just my preference. But I can then put my notes up there, and even if you typed them out, you'd still print off the paper, so you'd still have it up there with you. And so this Bible does not take up a ton of space. I can fit this easily up in the corner of the pulpit, read from the text, cross-reference, look up verses that I have in my outline, fairly easy, fairly quickly. They're easy to find because of the verse numbers, and so it's an absolute joy to preach from. And then I can have my notes up there where I can easily read them as well. So I just wanted to show you that. Also took this to Bible study this morning, and I wrote just a few notes, not anything big, but I did want to show you what the pigment micron looks like. So this was a 01, so a slightly thicker one. Typically a lot of people like to use the 005. I do like that one. I generally feel like it's just slightly too small, so I generally like to go with the 01. So I'll show. Here is what it looks on the back side. So I mean, really, barely any ghosting even in the white. It's pretty wild. Where did I even write that other note? It was just above it, wasn't it? Okay, so right. Well, you guys can tell me if you see it. I do not. Did I write that over some text? I did. Okay. Should be right there. Yeah, so you can see how great that paper is. I literally cannot even see where that is. That's pretty wild. So that's how thick that paper is. So again, it's not like, 50 GSM, but this is probably pretty close to 38. I mean, it is very, very well done. So just to show you real quick how the references work, I realize I haven't shown that yet. And so the references are done in an old style, so you do have the letters in the text. But again, this text is so clear that I find it very easy to ignore those references. But anyways, let's look at this. So, and the nice thing to know is that it's a verse by verse. So if you do see numbers keying textual footnotes, you know that the black numbers are textual footnotes and not your verse number. So for example, here 2, when it says advocate, you know that's not verse 2 because your verse numbers are in red. So then you know that verse 2 actually is here. So that is a very good distinction. I'm glad Thomas Nelson did that. Then you see here you have a reference. We have A for we. Okay, so this is 1 John chapter 2, verse 1. Now the one thing that is maybe a little, I wouldn't say hard, but you do have to get used to is how the references are down at the bottom. So it is divided up here by chapter and verse. So you actually have to find the chapter and then the verse first in order to find your reference. So we know it was 2:1. A, they're cross-referencing Hebrews 7:25 and 9:24. And we saw that footnote that was indicated by a 2, which was advocate. We see here it was intercessor, or the Greek word is parakletos, or parakletos, which means intercessor or advocate. And so you see that's how the references work. Now, so the only thing is you have to find the verse first, though, and then come down here and do a little bit of searching. But once you get used to how this works, it really is pretty quick. And I like the fact it's at the bottom and not in the center column, because that allows the text really to take the show. Now, another cool thing is they've got a couple cool back features. Oh, every book does have a book introduction, and it does begin on a new page. So you do have some areas where you can take more notes, and then all the book introductions are very well written. They're very short and concise. They give you a good brief overview of the book, and I find them helpful in study. Again, they're not super in depth, but for what is there, it is very well done. As you saw there, it is red letter throughout the book of Revelation. Let's go back there real quick. There you go. Okay, so you see that. And then we'll get to the back here and look up some of the extras. And so you see here the miracles of Jesus. And so you've got the 4 Gospels, how those are lined up. They show you where it appears in every Gospel. Then you have the parables of Jesus. Again, the same ideas with the miracles. You have a 1-year Bible plan, which again, if you know me for any amount of time before watching my videos, I'm a huge fan of Bible plans. I think if you have a Bible and you're going to print one, you should put a reading plan in there. Whether the person will use it or not, that's up to them, but the whole point of having Bible is reading it. So their reading plan is it's broken in morning and evening readings, and it's typically heavy on the evening readings. So you can see here, just starting in January, you have a New Testament reading. So essentially, you're always going to have a New Testament reading in the morning, Old Testament reading in the evening. But you can see you're doing about 3, sometimes 4 chapters in the evening, whereas you're generally doing one chapter or a certain amount of verses in the New Testament. But it's very well laid out. It's easy to follow, and I do like this plan quite a bit. The concordance is well done as well. What I really love about this one is that when it has a word, it's in red, so it's easy to find. And then the reference letter is also in red. So here for a base, we see that the letter A, that would represent a base, is in red. The rest of the text is in black. So it sets it off very quickly, so you can find it easily as you're scrolling through the concordance. Again, I find this to be a very unique feature, and it is a very detailed concordance. So this is not just something they threw in here last second. This has some thought to it. It goes for at least 100 and so pages. Very well done. Double column, and even the words are broke down with the ornamental drop caps. So, very nicely done. Now here in the back, there's not a ton of room for notes or anything in the back, but I did put a travel/preaching log that I started here in the back. And then here you have a note regarding the type. So if you want to pause that, you can take a look at that and read it. The maps are well done. They're on a semi-gloss paper, so you do have a little shine to it, but they're thicker. Again, the only map I really don't like in here is the Red Sea crossing. As with most major Bible publishers, they're never crossing the Red Sea, so always take that with a grain of salt. But the rest of the maps are very well done. Easy to read. They have good information. The colors are very well done as well. Not too bright, definitely not too dull. But then that ends the book. Then you have your vinyl end sheet. And again, the vinyl end sheet here is very thick as well. So everything that they've done with this Bible, again, it just feels like a brick. Feels like it's going to last. This thing is very durable, yet you have a flexible enough cover. And again, you can get this for $64.99 on Christian Book Distributors. Again, if you're anybody that's interested in a larger print and an easy to carry format, this is definitely the best hand-sized Bible on the market. Just the print and everything, the thought that has went into this, the ornamental drop caps, the red letter, it has references, it has a full-blown concordance, it has a Bible reading plan, it has some helps in the back, it has epistle dedicatory. I mean, you have the Psalms and Proverbs in single column. There's really no other Bible in the market like this. It is truly an amazing Bible. And you have book introductions. So it is almost a full-fledged study Bible, but none of the study helps get in the way. So they've accomplished something really special with this Bible. So again, if you want this, I'm going to leave a link in the description to christianbook.com to be able to purchase one of this. They do have a bunch of different formats, so if you can't do the $64.99, what I love about Nelson is they've made this available for every common person, right? Because we work, we got things to do, we have bills to pay. So they've made this in imitation leather, which is very well done, and I believe on Christian Book that goes for about $25. So the paper is the same, you still have the same beautiful text, all the helps, except it's a lot more affordable option. And really the genuine leather at $60 is pretty affordable for most working class Americans. So again, quality to the final letter in this Bible. They thought it out very well, and I'm very, very happy with this. And so you probably see me with this Bible quite a bit on this channel. So if you have any questions, though, maybe I didn't cover something that you wanted me to, or if you wanted me to compare it more to the McLaren series, let me know on that, and I definitely would be happy to help you in any way I can. So I hope you guys have a great night. Take care, and God bless.